What's up guys, I'm Vocal Strike, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. Last time, we met Merrick and started the Battle City arc in Battle City Begins and the Mystery Duelist. We also got our butts handed to us repeatedly by Seeker. This time, we are going to be taking on another one of Merrick's rare hunters in the Master of Magicians. As the Battle City tournament continued, Merrick learned that the Egyptian god card he was seeking had been played. Obelisk the Tormentor has been played. Yes, moments ago in Battle City, and we've identified the card's owner, Seto Kaiba. Of course. How did you know, sir? It's quite simple. My sister Shizu conspires against me. She gave Kaiba that card to stop me. I should have known Ishizu is behind this whole tournament. She used her Millennium Necklace to foresee the events of Battle City. Ishizu knew if she gave Obelisk the Tormentor to Kaiba, he'd throw a tournament out of greed to obtain the other Egyptian god cards. Sir, shall I order a team of rare hunters to pay Kaiba a little visit? No. Leave Kaiba to his games. First, I'll need to weaken the Pharaoh. Dispatch Arcana to take down Yugi Moto. Later in the Battle City tournament, a strange clown lured Yugi to a secret lair with dangerous contraptions. Welcome, Yugi Moto. I am the illusionist known as Arcana, and soon your favorite card, Dark Magician, will be dueling for me. Only a true master of illusion deserves to hold a Dark Magician. You will never understand its full potential. That's enough, Arcana. I know it must be hard to think of your favorite card in another duelist's deck. Well, I challenge you to a duel. The winner will take the loser's Dark Magician, and I accept. You must know that when a duelist builds his deck, he chooses his favorites from many different types of cards. But sometimes a card can choose a duelist. The two are connected, and the duelist can tap into the card's true power. Because each is bound by the heart of the cards, and Dark Magician has chosen me. Enough! Let's shuffle our decks and let the show begin. Arcana uses the Dark Magician as well as Yugi, the same vein as Yugi does. This is also where we see a bunch of the first wave of Dark Magician support, with Dark Renewal, Dark Magician Girl, Thousand Knives, and Dark Magic Curtain. Now, Arcana claims to be the master of the Dark Magician, and what actually makes this interesting is that Arcana actually has a different designed card and a different color Dark Magician, like with Yugi's. And they actually went so far as to actually give it a different code than the other versions of the Dark Magician. Dark Magician is just one of those cards that had many different reprints. Not really so much in text or name or attribute, but more in picture. Every single Yu-Gi-Oh card has a code at the bottom left corner of the card. And it doesn't matter what picture design or what version of the card you're using, the card the card's code remains the same. Oh, what is this one? What card is it? Oh yeah, no. But Arcana's Dark Magician actually has a completely unique code to it. And what these codes were actually for in the cards was that I assume that they were used to help Oh, what's the term I'm looking for? To kind of not really categorize the card. To, the word escapes me. The word totally escapes me. But anyway, in the at least that's what I assume it was for. But in the actual, but for some of the video games, especially the older ones, like in 7 Trials to Glory and GX Duel Academy, if you actually, there was actually a code system on some of these old games, and if you put in the code, you actually get that card so long as you're willing to spend a certain amount of duel points. The rarer or stronger the card, the more expensive it is. I don't have a choice. The rarer, more expensive it is. Which was actually kind of a nice little touch, which, since it kind of felt like that you were putting your actual collection into the game. But this did not work for every card. This only works for cards that was actually put into the game. So if you're using an older, so if you're playing an older game, and, if you play an older game, and you're trying to put in like some of the newer cards that weren't even released at that point, it's not going to work. The game is going to say, hey, this card's not in here. And as a result, for some of these older games, ooh. For some of these older games that generally did this, and they don't even do this for this game at all. It is just a matter of preference. It does not make Arcana's Dark Magician be any different than any of the other reprints of Dark Magician. They are all considered the same card. So officially, if you want to put in Arcana's Dark Magician, but still want to put in 3 copies of the Dark Magician, you cannot do, like, say, 3 of Yugi's versions of Dark Magician and 3 of Arcana's. It does not work that way. That said, though, in the that sucked. In some of the older games where they actually put in both Arcana's and Yugi's Dark Magician in the game, and this actually could cause a bit of a glitch. And well, I use the term loosely. It was more like, I guess, like a programming error that I guess they didn't see, but it's labeled as a glitch. And there is Dark Magician Girl's own summoning animation. It actually caused a bit of a glitch with it, to where you could have 3 of Yugi's Dark Magicians and 3 of Arcana's Dark Magicians, which gives you a total of 6 copies of Dark Magicians in that game. Not sure why you would want 6 Dark Magicians, but the option's there for those games. But officially, you can only have 3 copies of Dark Magician, does not matter what version you're using. They usually catch, in other games where they wanted to put in Arcana's Dark Magician, they either do one of 2 things to prevent this. They either try to catch this little error and fix it, or they only go for one design of Dark Magician instead of going for both. Also, in this duel, that was a shadow game. In the anime, their ankles were actually shackled to where they were dueling. The more light points they lost, the more these giant buzzsaws would actually get closer. In the subbed anime, these are actual buzzsaws that were gonna cut their legs off and kill them. In the dubbed version, these were known as dark energy discs that one touch sent you to the Shadow Realm. And Arcana also had a different perspective when it came to cards. He believed that the dual monster cards should just be used as a means to an end, which in turn also made sure that Arcana's Dark Magicians definitely did not like him. And Arcana did ran 3 copies of his Dark Magician, which he also cheated because he trimmed the edges so that the Dark Magician would always wind up somewhere on top at the very least. Whereas Yugi always respected the Dark Magician and respected his cards to the point to where they would actually actively give his life to protect him. And Arcana loses, like now, with when Yugi played Dark Magician Girl, which was a Dark Magician card that Arcana didn't know even existed. That can't be. There's no way you could have defeated me, Yugi. I'm the greatest magician the world has ever known. And the reason why he's also working for Merrick was because Merrick promised to bring back his wife to him. Which of course was a lie. You relied on trickery to win instead of trusting and respecting the heart of the cards. Arcana is gone, so we meet again, little Yugi. I'm sure I need no introduction. Show your face to me, Merrick, you coward. I'll reveal myself to you when the time is right and no sooner. Once I obtain what's mine, you will know exactly what I want. The unlimited power of the ancient pharaoh, the spirit that lives within your puzzle. Tell me why you want the pharaoh's power. Because that power is rightfully mine, and once I have it, I will be unstoppable. The world will belong to me, and no one will stand in the way of my destiny, especially not you. Oh yeah? Just watch me, Merrick. Listen, little Yugi. My family has slaved for centuries protecting the tomb of the pharaoh until his return, and for what? I should be the pharaoh. Never. You won't get the power of the pharaoh, and I'll make sure of it. Ha! We'll just see about that. My destiny can't be stopped. Don't you see it's only a matter of time? The 3 Egyptian god cards along with your Millennium Puzzle will belong to me. Then I will strip the pharaoh of his ancient power and infuse them within myself. Merrick, you'll never defeat me in a duel, so you'll never get your greedy hands on my puzzle. I promise you by the sands of Egypt, the pharaoh's power will be mine. Another of my mind slaves is already in Battle City waiting to defeat you and take your puzzle, and he holds an Egyptian god card. What's the name of this card? Beware the Quiet One. We'll meet again, Yugi. Be right back. And I'm back. Had to go get my water. Okay. Weevil Underwood again. Playing with a parasite. As the tournament continued, Joey was challenged by Weevil Underwood, but what Joey didn't know was that Weevil was using his underhanded tricks again. Weevil slipped a card into Joey's deck that would make sure that none of Joey's strategies would work. Weevil basically hired a kid to not only try to swipe his duel disc, but to also slip in the card into his deck. And Weevil offered a rare card, which turned out to be a lie, and he only gave him a common insect card instead. We'll settle this fair and square with a duel. Alright, let's do this. That's fine with me, but we'll duel for 2 locator cards. That's if you even have 2. Yugi squashed this creepy little bud the first time they squared off in Duelist Kingdom. Now I guess it's my turn to do the same. It's time to duel. Weevil Underwood in this duel has the Insect Queen. And the card that he slipped into Joey's deck is the Parasite card. So what he was planning to do is that he wants to turn all of Joey's monsters into insect type monsters using the Parasite card. And then use Insect Barrier to completely bypass, to basically lock down Joey's attacks altogether. I also said in the last episode I would actually talk about Dungeon Dice Monsters. How Dungeon Dice Monsters work is that there were 2 players. These were the Dungeon Masters. And each player has 3 life. If they get hit 3 times, if you get hit 3 times, you lose. Hit 3 times, you lose. And before you start the duel, you basically get a bunch of D6, which are 6-sided dice, and they are then shuffled, and you get to throw 3 dice. Now, in the board game, you are only given you are only given just dice that you roll infinitely. Right. Insect barrier. And the 6-sided dice, yeah, there's the Parasite card. But each side of the die actually had a different crest. Ace actually had summoning crests, movement crests, ability crests, attack crests, defense crests. I think that's all the crests in the game. If there is a 6th one, I honestly can't remember it. If you roll at least 2 summoning crests, you are able to summon a monster. I keep forgetting about that. Whereas all the other crests are put into your crest pool that you need to keep track of. And the board game even gives you an abacus in order to actually help keep track of that. Or you can use a pen and paper, whichever one works for you. Another parasite. Uh, and you can spend those crests in order to oh no, wrong button! Damn it, wrong button. But you use all those other crests in order to do things in the game. There were 3 different types of monster movement. There were flying monsters, which require to move which cost 2 movement crests. Which require 2 movement crests. Oh, I misread the card again. It required 2 movement crests to move 1 space. A standard land monster, but the flying monsters could actually fly over land monsters, completely bypassing them without having to fight. The standard land monsters, which required only 1 movement crest to move, but they could not I think they could walk under flying monsters, but they walk under opponent flying monsters, but they could not go around they could not go through other land monsters without having to fight if they were your opponents. And then monsters that teleport, which could bypass any monster. And you basically, every time you successfully summon a monster, you cause a path that connects to one of your own. There are red and there are blue. There is red and then there's blue. Oh yeah, and Joey actually took on Esperoba by this point and got his Jinzo card, who was cheating but decided to continue dueling fair and square anyway. Monsters could not move diagonally, and you could only put a path that connected to your color. So if you were red, you could only connect the different paths to your own red paths. You could not connect them to your opponent's blue colored paths, unless of course it's still connected to a red path anyway. Of course, connected to, unless of course it connected to a path anyway. In order to attack you and your opponent's monsters, or the monster and the and the dungeon master rather, would have to be would have to be right next to each other, and you do need an attack crest in order to attack. Monsters had 3 different point values: attack points, defense points, and life points. Very similar to Magic the Gathering. The attack points determined how much damage that monster would do. The defense points was used to subtract that damage to help minimize it. And then whatever the difference was subtracted by that monster's life points. If the life points of that monster hit 0, it is destroyed. A dungeon master does not have attack or defense points. They take 1 heart of damage no matter what. Ability crests, you have to spend ability crest in order to use special abilities. And defense crest was used to defend from an opponent's monster's attacks. You basically went through the board and attack your opponent 3 times and you win. There were also special types of summons, such as chests, that could provide benefits to whoever opens them, and wormholes, which, if there are 2 on the field, regardless of who they belong to, if a monster steps on a wormhole, they can appear on the other side. Welcome to Loserville, Weevil. Population, you. I lost? But wait! Alright, Weevil, cough him up. You're Insect Queen and 2 locator cards. Have mercy? Mercy? You would have thought of that before. You should have thought of that before you decided to cheat. Now, just like at Duelist Kingdom, you're out of the tournament. And Joey gets Insect Queen. And considering that we're doing so well, we are now going to go up against another one of Merrick's Rare Hunters. If any one of you are interested in Dungeon Dice Monsters, you can either try to find the official board game, or you can get the game for the Game Boy Advance as either its own standalone game, Dungeon Dice Monsters, or part of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Double Pack 2, which has Dungeon Dice Monsters and Destiny Board Travelers. Dungeon Dice Monsters, I actually encourage you to actually at least try. I think the game has potential. It's not perfect, but I wish they kind of expanded on it more. But we never really see it again. Anyway, so let's move on to take on Strings in Mime Control. Merrick was in possession of 2 of the 3 Egyptian god cards, but he still needed the Millennium Puzzle to bring his plan together. Suddenly, Yugi found himself being challenged by a duelist named Strings. Sorry, I was taking a sip of water. Suddenly, Yugi found himself being challenged by a duelist named Strings. Yugi, prepare to duel and lose your puzzle. Strings does not have a mind of his own. He is purely a puppet controlled by Merrick. Merrick, meet my mind slaves, Strings the Quiet One. Thanks to the power of my Millennium Rod, he shall defeat you. Also trying to pull up notes on the Egyptian gods here, because they actually do have very specific Okay. All have very specific abilities that differentiate them from the anime and manga and the official cards. Meet my mind. La la la. Coward. Why should I waste my time when I can duel you through my mind puppets? Battling with the power of my Millennium Rod is no different than you using your puzzle to duel. That's not true. You force your servants to do your dirty work by taking control of their minds against their will. I duel with respect and honor. Merrick, make your move. In this duel, Strings has Slifer the Sky Dragon. In the anime and manga, there is only one copy of each Egyptian god card. In this game, in this very specific duel in this game, Strings has 3 copies of Slifer the Sky Dragon. Their anime effects, all 3 Egyptian god cards have the same anime types of effects. They require 3 monsters in order to tribute summon, which is the case with the official cards. They have near perfect protection where they cannot be affected by spell traps or monster effects that would actually affect them, either through target or through non-target. And they can only be used by, well, I use the term loosely. Ooh. Here are you. And you. Then use Monster Reborn to bring back the bus. Oh, wait a sec. I was gonna bring back Buster Blair, but I might just bring back Slifer. So he already had an Egyptian god card. Yeah, sure, let's bring out Slifer. If an Egyptian god card in the anime was special summoned, just like now, they were destroyed at the end of the turn. They were sent to the graveyard at the end of the turn. And then each Egyptian god card had its own unique abilities. Slifer's abilities actually stay closest to the anime as possible. Requires 3 tributes to normal summon, cannot be normal set. This card's normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summoned, cards and effects cannot be activated. However, all turns past that, you can activate effects. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card was special summoned, send it to the graveyard. Gains 1000 attack and defense points for each card in your hand if a monster or monsters is normal or special summoned to your opponent's field in attack position. That monster loses 2000 attack points. Then if its attack has been reduced to 0 as a result, destroy it. And I completely did not read that if it was special summon, I sent it to the graveyard. So, Slifer goes bye-bye. I should have brought back Buster Blader. Oops. So naturally in the anime, its attack and defense points are 1,000 times how many cards you have in your hand. And it can destroy any monster that has less than 2,000 attack or defense points. Otherwise it permanently loses 2,000 attack or defense points. The other Egyptian gods have unique abilities differentiating them from the anime and the official cards. We are following the official cards' rulings. And there seems to be people who think that they were broken and overpowered when they first were released. That is not the case. The abilities they have in the official card games now are the abilities that they had since day one of production. Never once did they ever fully follow the anime because, one, they're in the case, like, say, with in the case with Ra, for instance, there were so many abilities on the card that literally putting it physically on the card text was impossible. So, without it being, unreadable. And then in other cases, the abilities were also super broken to where they had to be nerfed. Otherwise, they would be illegal in tournaments and they would and they probably would have seen a bit more play. It's also usually not worth it to just sacrifice 3 monsters just to get one giant beat stick. Okay. Oh, right. Nightmare Steel Cage stops both of us from attacking for 2 turns. We will also be getting into the other effects of the Egyptian gods at a later time. Oh, and speak of the devil. River bounce at the graveyard. Okay, so if I use it for a tribute summon, he can't bring it back. because tributes sending a card through to the graveyard via special effects or for a tribute summon like now does not count as being destroyed by battle. And then a revival jam. Be right back. Got a bit of a runny nose. Back. And something I should also probably know is that none of the God cards, as far as I am aware, has never really seen competitive play, except for maybe Obelisk in certain decks. Now you also notice that when Slifer the Sky Dragon was sent to the graveyard via its own card effect, Call of the Haunted didn't go away. The reason why is because it going to the graveyard, it being sent to the graveyard like through the hand or for a tribute summon or through its own special effect, and if it does not say destroy, that means Call of the Haunted stays on the field because officially, by definition, the monster wasn't properly destroyed. Yeah, he can't afford to bring back Revival Jam anymore. In the anime, Card of Safe Return actually allowed you to draw 3 cards to whenever a monster was, special summoned? Yeah, special summoned. But in the official card game, it only draws 1. And I win. And we get Slifer the Sky Dragon. I win. It's over. It can't be. How can I lose with the Egyptian God card in my deck? You'll pay. You may have defeated Slifer, but I hold another Egyptian God card. A much more powerful one. In the anime, the weakest God card is Slifer, the strongest God card is Ra. So savor this victory while you can, for it will be your last. And we get the signature card Slifer the Sky Dragon now added to our collection. So in the next episode, we will be dueling Yamibukura in the Dark Spirit Revealed. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next episode.